In the spring of 1933, Stalin's regime deported over 6,000 people to a remote Siberian island. They were promised a second chance. Instead, they were abandoned, with no food, no shelter, and no escape. What followed was one of the most horrifying cases of survival in modern history. An island where people ate each other just to stay alive. In the early 1930s, Joseph Stalin wanted to clean up Soviet cities. His solution? Round up beggars, petty criminals, and anyone considered undesirable, then send them far away to work in Siberia. Thousands were arrested, sometimes for as little as not having an ID. Most didn't even get a trial. But there was one problem. The Soviet government had no real plan for what to do with them. In May 1933, over 6,000 people were crammed onto boats and sent deep into Siberia. Their destination? A tiny, uninhabited island called Nazino. No houses, no farms. Just trees, mosquitoes, and a fast-moving river. Stalin's government called it a special settlement. But in reality, it was a death sentence. The prisoners arrived with nothing. No tools, no shelter, no food except a few sacks of flour. There were no ovens, no cooking supplies. People tried mixing the flour with dirty river water, but it made them sick. Hunger set in immediately. Then the guards started killing people. Anyone who tried to escape was shot. Beatings were common. But the biggest killer was starvation. Within days, people were so desperate they started eating grass, tree bark, anything they could find. Then the bodies started piling up. That's when the horror really began. At first, the weak died naturally. But then, the strong started hunting them. There are reports of people killing the weakest just for food. Eyewitnesses later told investigators that bodies were found with their livers, hearts, and muscles missing. One woman was tied to a tree while men cut pieces off her, alive. They ate whatever they could to survive. The guards did nothing. Some even encouraged it. One survivor later testified, people were being eaten. This was an awful sight. They cut them up. Everyone was hungry. After a few weeks, over 4,000 people were dead. The Soviet government quietly removed the survivors and erased all records of the experiment. For decades, the full story of Nazino Island remained buried in Soviet archives. Only in the 1980s did the truth finally come out, revealing one of Stalin's most disturbing crimes against humanity. Even now, Nazino Island sits in the middle of the Ob River, untouched, a silent graveyard for the thousands who suffered there. Oh, a place where civilization broke down completely, leaving behind only horror, death, and the memory of what happens when a government treats people as disposable. What do you think? Why was this story hidden for so long? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more dark, forgotten history.